think. And it is 9 o'clock. So if we could let everyone in from the waiting room, we will go ahead with that. And let everyone get settled, and then we will get started.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining our MCB virtual town hall. This is our July edition, the third town hall that we have attempted for all of you during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're so happy that you could join us today. I'm Carla Cass, the Director of Communications for the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind.
Hi.
And just a couple of ground rules as we get started this morning. Please mute and please keep your video off for the duration of the presentation. And if you do have questions during the event, which you likely will, this is all about assistive technology, please submit your questions via the chat. We have set up a colleague who is named questions today. So if you search through the participants, you will see questions, and that is where you can submit them in the chat. You can also send your questions to mcbinfo@mass.gov. That's mcbinfo@mass.gov. And we will do our best to answer as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. Otherwise, we will follow up with you after the event and try to get your questions answered. But we are so thankful that all of you could join us today. And with that, let's go ahead and throw it over to our commissioner and get started.
Carla, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining. Welcome to our virtual town hall. Since COVID-19, we've been trying to stay in touch with our consumers as best we can. And one of the ways we found out that's effective are these Zoom meetings. And we've had a couple of successful town halls, so we wanted to do it again because we've gotten such a great response. So thank you all for joining. And thanks to my team for putting together such a robust demonstration here. You are in for a treat. The Assistive Technology Unit at MCB is, I would stack it up against any in the country. And I'm on these nationwide calls, and really the comparison and contrast to what we do as compared to other states, we are very well ahead in many ways. And a lot of that goes to the credit of our Assistive Technology Unit, and particularly our Director of the Assistive Technology Unit, Mr. Alexander Pooler. So before I throw it to him though, I just want to once again thank you all for joining. We're here to serve you during these challenging times. So I hope you're staying safe. And if there's anything we can do, please contact MCB. We're there to serve you. But again, you're in for a treat here today. A special shout out, by the way, to Tyler Littlefield. Tyler, thank you so much. You've put together such a useful website for COVID-19 reporting and statistics that's accessible for screen readers. So thank you so much. Give you a thumbs up there and an applause there. So we really appreciate you doing that. And once again, I'm very pleased that you're joining us. Please let us know how MCB can work for you. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful Director of the Assistive Technology Unit, Mr. Alexander Pooler. Alexander, take it away. Is Alexander on mute?
Alexander, we can't hear you.
Carla, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Take it away, Alexander.
All right, I'll try this again here. Good morning, everyone. Again, thank you very much, David, for the warm introduction, and I appreciate the kind words for our unit. I'm Alexander Pooler, Director of Assistive Technology here at the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, and it's a privilege for us knowing that you're sharing your morning with us. I know it's a little earlier than we've had for some of the previous town halls, but it's appreciated that we have an opportunity to share a little bit about what our unit does and some of our responses been and things that we've learned since COVID has happened upon us. We're very excited about this opportunity, and we hope that we can have some good information to share with you. But before we get into too much more about our overall unit, we are going to have a brief introduction from an overview from Richard Flint, the head of our AT Consumer Training Unit. And we're going to have an interview that David alluded to a little bit earlier on with one of our consumers that will be conducted by Assistant Director Evan Silver, that I think we're all going to find both very fascinating and inspiring, and I hope you do as well. After that, we're going to offer a recap of our Smart Speaker pilot program that wrapped up in late 2019, and then we're going to hear from some of our assistive technology specialists. Margaret Gaffney in Region 5 New Bedford office is going to do a presentation on how do I ask my smart device for information about COVID. William Hurst, Region 1 from the Springfield Western Mass office, is going to do a presentation on guidelines for remote evaluations. Brendan Finn, Region 2, is going to do a presentation on experiences using remote login tools during COVID. And James Verrill, Region 3, North Shore area, is going to do a presentation on the challenges of maintaining good ergonomic practices in alternative workspaces. There's a lot of information we're going to go over today, and while some of your instincts may be trying to remember everything we're going over, that's not necessary for you to do. I'm going to ask you to take a little bit of a different approach. You don't need to memorize everything we discussed, but what I want you to take away from this presentation is that MCB is your go-to resource when it comes to your assistive technology needs. So if you're a stakeholder or a consumer on this call today, and we discuss something that piques your interest, you don't need to memorize everything we discussed about that. Just remember, you can come back to us later on. We can continue the conversation either later today or sometime in the future and talk a little bit more about that. If it's something that we don't really discuss, but you have other AT questions, we want you to come back to us also later on and have that conversation with us. And you can always email us at our MCB info email at mcbinfo@mass.gov. That's a great email to use. So again, that's mcbinfo@mass.gov. It's currently being displayed on the screen. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Richard Flint, and he's going to discuss our consumer training unit. Richard, it's all yours.
Thanks, Alexander. As Alexander said, my name is Richard Flint. I'm with the Consumer Training Unit. Our Consumer Training Unit has three main focus areas, and that's assessment services, training services, and help desk services. The main focus I want to stay on today is the help desk services. And in that, I want to make sure that everybody has contact info for the help desk. Telephone number 617-626-7401, or you can email me at richard.flint@mass.gov. That's RICHARD.FLINT@MASS.gov. So about the help desk, most people think of the help desk as only troubleshooting problems that you come across, and that's the main focus of the help desk. But it's also training in different areas that maybe you don't usually use. For example, say you're very good with Word, but you do not typically put table of contents in your document, and you are struggling to do so. You can call the help desk and you can get assistance in doing that. There's also the fact that you can call for technology advice. You may see some technology out there that you think will be very useful to you or someone in your family or friends, and maybe you're thinking about purchasing it for them or you're thinking about purchasing it for yourself. It's always best to get a second opinion before spending money, investing time and effort in learning a new technology. And we can definitely assist you in talking through, okay, what tasks are you trying to accomplish? What are your skill sets? And really evaluate that and determine, is the device or hardware or software that you are thinking about getting really the best device for you? And especially for somebody purchasing for other people, I see it quite often that somebody thinks, like, let's just take an example, somebody purchasing an iPhone for somebody. And that would be a great gift. It would be a great tool. However, if they have barriers that they would not be able to fully utilize that device, it may actually cause more aggravation than help. Let's say you had severe tremors or neuropathy or just memory issues in how to use a device. It would just cause more aggravation. So you really need to look at many different areas before selecting technology. So I just want to recap with my contact information again. Richard.flint@mass.gov, and that's RICHARD.FLINT@MASS.gov. And I guess, Evan, over to you.
All right, thanks. This is Evan Silver. I want to direct you to a pre-recorded interview that you're about to listen to. It's with a young professional software developer. His name is Tyler Littlefield. He currently lives in and works for a company here in the Boston area. And Ty relies on the JAWS screen reader and Braille to do his job. He has a degree in computer science. And we invited him here to talk about this very cool new project that he has developed as a kind of a sort of a side project. And it's called the Accessible COVID-19 Statistics Tracker. So please listen to Tyler discussing his project, and then you'll be hearing me give just a very brief kind of run through, a taste of how it works with the JAWS screen reader. And finally, Tyler will tell us a little bit about how he does his job as a visually impaired software engineer. Okay, let's roll the tape.
All right. Please, and again, if you have any questions or if you're having any technical difficulties, please type in the questions in the chat, and we'll go ahead and start this audio. Thank you, Evan. All right, we're going to start that again, everyone, and I apologize for that. Just one moment. We're having just, of course, assistive technology is our topic. We're having a little technical difficulties, but we're going to start that again. If everyone could please mute and turn off your video, then we'll be able to hear the audio from our consumer interview. Just one moment. Okay, we're going to try that again. Thank you very much for muting so we can hear Tyler.
We don't have much time, so let's not screw around any longer. Tell me about the Accessible COVID-19 Statistics Tracker.
So when all of this started, for a lot of data around just something that would inform me as to what was going on. And a lot of what I found was in graphics. So it was showing a graph and it would show like a curve. A lot of people talked about flattening the curve, or it would show, you know, here's all the states and here's where they are. There were some heat maps. And so by that, I mean that it would show you a map of like the US, for example, or a map of the world. And based on the severity of cases in certain areas, it would kind of make those areas different colors. But a lot of this did not translate into very accessible data, and it did not allow us as blind people to be able to parse that data. So I created TV Stats. It uses data from worldometers.info, and it aggregates this data in currently 3 separate sections. The first is just kind of an overall global list of information. So global amount of tests, global cases, global recovered, things like that. And as more data is added, that list kind of gets longer by default. And the next piece is a data points on various countries. So it's a table. And as you go through the table, you see different countries. You can sort it by whichever column you would like. But ultimately, there's a lot of different sort of data points in that table. And it includes things like the density, population density, which is kind of what you get from the heat maps that I was talking about earlier. It talks about the tests per country, how many tests have been ran, the total number of cases, recovered, deaths, things like that. And then farther down, there's a table that you can expand as well that does the same exact thing for the states. So it covers all states. And oddly enough, it also covers the cruise ships that were also involved in this kind of when it started out. I don't know why those are considered their own states, but they are. So essentially this website, it's been really popular. I get, sometimes the API goes down and I just have to wait for it to come back up or have to get in touch with the people that run it. But it's been interesting because I initially did this just kind of a project to learn the framework that I'm using, which is React, for a job that I was starting at the time.
And what is React?
And it's a JavaScript framework. So essentially it allows you to build applications, like single page web applications or other types of applications, but really this is a single page application. So it's what a lot of people, a lot of companies and developers use to make sort of interactive applications that you can run in your browser, which is kind of how a lot of data is being presented and how a lot of applications are being used currently.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn React, and I just started kind of building this out to help me learn that. And initially I had started just by writing a quick API or a quick program for myself that just showed this all in text and tables and columnized and things like that, and I could query it for data. But then I realized that, you know, it'd be really cool if other people had access to this because this solves my problem, but it doesn't solve the problem for anybody else. And so that's kind of where this came from. I think to date it's had well over 300,000 visitors, if not more. I haven't looked in quite a while, but a few weeks when I looked, it was way over 200,000. So, and it's been really useful for people. So it's been really cool to see, to be able to have an impact. So the interesting thing about that is there was recently, I was interviewed for a news article, I think it was Vice. There have been a few, but there was a news article that basically was talking about the accessibility issues, because the issue specifically is that if you want to see state-specific data, you have to go to the state's website. And a lot of them in testing, I was asked to do some testing on some preliminary testing for this reporter. And what she also did was run it through Wave, which is it measures accessibility. And obviously it doesn't catch everything, but there were in most of the states' governmental websites that they built to provide data about COVID-19 and to show statistics, there were accessibility issues. So this kind of takes away not only having to dig through this website to find the data that you're looking for, but it makes it really easy. So if you have, family or friends in different states, you just look at their state and you can see what's going on around them. And interestingly enough, the sighted people that I've shown this have started using it as opposed to going and searching for the data, because it's just easy to view visually as well because it's in a tabular form. And you don't have to look through news articles and click through ads and click through slides and, sort of try to parse graphics and things like that. So this kind of highlights a really cool concept where if you make something accessible by default, it tends to improve the usability for everybody across the board. And that's kind of cool. And they've done a lot of research studies about things like that as well. But so this actually hits multiple market or multiple groups of people and not specifically just blind people. It hits other people with disabilities as well.
Okay. All right. Here we are on the web page. It is called
Accessible COVID-19 Statistics Tracker-Microsoft Edge.
And I am using JAWS with Microsoft Edge, the very latest version, the Chromium version. And let's go down through this page.
Accessible COVID-19 Statistics Tracker heading. For many people with disabilities, much of the data available regarding the COVID-19 left parent coronavirus right parent outbreak is in a graphical format, which is impossible to access. It is my hope that this site can serve to solve the lack of information by making critical statistics available in a text format that is easy to read and understand.
Okay, and that's exactly what this does. So we can look at, for example,
Global Stats heading level 2 button collapsed.
Global Stats.
Country Stats heading level 2
Country
button
stats.
collapsed. Breakdown of states in the United States heading level 2 button collapsed.
And that's breakdown of states, which is what I would like to look at.
Enter.
So I'm going to hit enter
Accessible
on that.
COVID-19 Statistics Tracker-Microsoft Edge heading level 2 button.
Okay, and here we are on this page.
Accessible COVID-.
And what's really great about this is that it puts all of the data that is often displayed graphically in what Tyler referred to as a heat map. It puts it in a nice table that we can navigate very easily, and JAWS renders it very understandably in using very basic JAWS commands. So I'm going to move to the table.
8 columns and 63 rows. To sort the table by the values in a column, click or press enter on the column header. Column 1, row 1.
Now I can move down the column by using the JAWS commands to move through columns and rows. I'm going to move down with Control Alt down arrow.
New York, row 2. California, row 3. Texas, row 4. Florida, row 5. New Jersey, row 6. Illinois, row 7. Massachusetts, row 8.
Okay, there's Massachusetts. So let's see what today's stats are for right now.
Cases, 110,338. Column 2.
Okay, that's the number of cases.
Active cases, 8,968. Column 3.
Active.
Cases reported today, 0. Column 4. Deaths today, 0. Column 5. Overall deaths, 8,213. Column 6. Tests, 977,311. Column 7. Tests for 1,141,793. End of row.
Okay, so some of the data where it was 0, I think it's just because it's too early in the day for that data to be reported. But if we want to pick one of these columns and compare them to some of the other states, let's find out.
Tests, overall deaths, 8,000 deaths today. Cases reported today, 0. Active cases, 8,968.
Okay, let's look at active cases.
Column 3.
So that's Massachusetts. I'm going to go up and see another state.
Illinois, 28,358. New Jersey, 98,150. Florida, 180,528. Texas, 108,112. California 203,706, New York 261,819, row
Okay.
2.
And there you have it. Let's move on. I just want to talk a little bit about yourself because I think you have an interesting story. So you have a degree in computer science from Wentworth in Boston, correct?
Yes.
And so your first job out of college, when after getting your degree in computer science, was at Freedom Scientific. Can you just kind of tell us just very quickly, like what about what you did there at Freedom Scientific and what Freedom Scientific actually does for those who don't know?
Yeah, so Freedom Scientific makes software and hardware. I was in the software side of the company, and their kind of big sales are Zoom, which is a magnification program, Inspect, which is it builds off of JAWS, which is a screen reader to test web accessibility, and JAWS, which I already mentioned, is a screen reader. I was specifically working on JAWS, and while I was there, I did a lot of different things, but kind of one of the more cool things was working on Adobe to kind of make it better in certain instances, and also bringing a lot of different support to Kindle. So Amazon worked with us while I was there to kind of help find issues in their Kindle desktop application accessibility-wise that we could that would allow JAWS to work with it better specifically. So a couple of the more important things that I did while I was there is bringing table support to books. So if you're reading a book, you can navigate tables just like you would in Safari, for example, or Firefox. And also to bring MathML support to Kindle as well. So that allows you to, if the book is marked up properly, to see equations and to be able to kind of drill down into those. And JAWS actually has that support natively. So if you're reading something on Wikipedia, for example, you can also use that same support.
Okay. And then, so you worked there for a few years, and now this year you've taken a new position here in Boston, or at a Massachusetts company called Curriculum Associates.
Yes.
And tell us just very briefly what you're doing at this company now.
Yeah, so Curriculum Associates is an education company. They do a lot of like e-learning, basically allowing students and teachers to be able to gauge like where you are. There's also like a lot of lesson plans and learning through their platform. So I specifically work on the Bergans project, which is for younger kids. I think it's like up to 5 or 6 years old or so. But most of what I've been doing is kind of performance and security related. So making the website run faster, making sure that it's secure, making sure that user data is safe, things like that. I've always kind of worked a lot in the back end, and you can kind of see that from CV stats. Like it's a very plain website, and that's sort of intentional because it's easier to read and look at, but also front-end design is always kind of tough. So I've always found that we're doing back-end work, which is, how you load the data and render it, and making it load and render faster is kind of where my strength is.
Okay. Tell us what tools you use as a blind software engineer. What assistive technology and what esoteric technology you're using for to actually get the job done?
So I typically use JAWS. I've been using JAWS since I was 6 or so. So it was actually really cool for me to be able to work on the source code of JAWS and to be able to see like how it all ran and how it worked and to be able to contribute to it since I've been using it so long. And for development, I typically use Visual Studio, Notepad++, which are 2 different editors. And I do a lot of work on Linux-based systems, or BSD is actually where I spend a lot of my time because that's what I run mostly. And that's always through a shell. So you can use PuTTY or something like that. And then I use a Braille display, which the commission actually got me while I was in school for, not really for coding so much, because I grew up with My mother was kind of a single mother and working and going to school at the same time, so we got our computer on a grant, so there's no way I was getting a braille display. But definitely for reading math, because I still do a lot of math-based stuff. And I used to use a Mac. I don't have one anymore, but it was actually really cool for kind of building out like iOS apps and testing them and kind of doing different things with that.
Okay. What tools do you use in your daily life, just outside of work?
I use my phone a lot. We're actually really, really lucky. I remember when I was really young, I used to walk around with a rolling backpack of stuff. Like when we travel, we lived in Phoenix and my family is in Colorado, so it was like a 6-hour drive. So when I would move or when we'd go somewhere, I'd have to pack a couple Braille books and my Braille light and a talking dictionary and those big talking book players, and everything is just sort of condensed itself down onto my phone. So I use Seeing AI a ton, voice meter, things like that. And it's pretty much how I accomplish most of my tasks, or how I get everything done that's not on the computer.
Okay. And what skills or qualities do you think contribute to professional success for a visually impaired professional?
I think the two that I would have to say are adaptability and networking. Adaptability primarily because you may not have the technical skills to accomplish everything, but finding other ways to get something done. One of the hardest things about being a blind employee pretty much anywhere, regardless of what a lot of people say, is that you have to not be a burden on other people. And in the cases that you are, how do you find a ways to say, I can't do this. If you can help me with this, I will help you. I'll take up the slack and do, this other task. So just being able to really think about things and solve problems and kind of work through things, because a lot of people get lucky in college and have a really good disability services office, but you don't get that in the workforce. The networking is incredibly important. And it goes even as far, when I was in school, some of the people, oddly enough, that were most helpful to me were the food services people, so the people in the cafeteria. And there was a lot of construction going on in my senior year, and they would always find me and say, hey, this pathway that you take to go to this building is blocked off, so you might want to go this way. Or, they would always kind of look out for me. And I think making as many connections as possible and, making the meaningful connections and caring about people and communicating with them is always going to get you a really long way. And that pretty much applies everywhere. Working during school, pretty everywhere.
Okay. All right, this is Evan back live with you right now. Thank you once again to Tyler for joining us today, and thank you all for listening to this. So let's kick it back over to Alexander Pooler. We don't have much time,
right.
so let's.
All right, thanks a lot, Evan. Appreciate that. And once again, thank you very much for Tyler. That's a great interview there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that MCB had last year involving smart speakers. Back in 2018, MCB was granted an earmark for additional assistive technology funding for our SR population. The earmark happened to coincide with the onboarding of our new commissioner, Commissioner D'Arcangelo, who challenged our unit to look at technology integration and modernization a little differently, and he really wanted us to focus on ways to better leverage consumer technology that's already in the marketplace. So we kind of bounce around some ideas about what's out there that we can engage with that is different that we haven't done before. And what we really want to do is figure out a way to better help our consumers manage their daily life essential skills. And we decided to look at smart speaker technology. While multiple devices were considered, we chose to use the Amazon Echo as it met a lot of our criteria and provided the best opportunity to improve our SR consumers' independence. The project was conceived in 2 phases. Phase 1 dealt with teaching and managing basic yet essential daily life skills. In Phase 2, managing more advanced daily life skills. MCB took a team approach to deliver this pilot project that included assistance from additional units at MCB, including our SR case managers, our rehabilitation teachers, and the assistive technology unit. So when we decided on the technology, we wanted to kind of look at it and figure out, well, what are the things that we want some of our consumers to be able to do with this technology? And we kind of boiled down a list of about 20 different tasks we wanted to be able to have our consumers do. Some of those tasks included setting up simple things like reminders, alarms and timers, lists, how to manage a calendar, how to have direct device-to-device communication, and messages and emails. We didn't want to go into anything that was going to be too overly complicated at this point. We really want to focus on simple, easy to learn, easy to teach tasks, because what we wanted more than anything else from this project was a device that was going to improve the overall well-being of our consumers. We didn't want to teach anything that focused too difficult, that was going to cause stress for the consumers. We just wanted to find those things that were going to improve the quality of life of them. So overall, the project had a great amount of success when we started working with the consumers. We got a lot of feedback from a lot of our consumers. Some of the feedback was constructive about things that we could improve upon, but a lot of the feedback we got was very positive. And this is different from a lot of other projects we've done at MCB in the past, where we might have a specific metric that we're trying to reach in terms of success. We simply just wanted to know from the consumers who are part of the pilot project, were you happy? Was your life improved? Do you feel there was something that was improved by this? And for consumers who just wanted to maybe have an easier way to access their music or play games, or I had one consumer we worked with that was very acutely aware and wanted to know at all times what the traffic was like in and around Boston. And it was important for them to have quick, easy access to that information. So some of the takeaways that we had from the project that we learned from the consumers, there are certain things that, the technology itself isn't quite perfect on. There are some security concerns that we were working to ameliorate with the consumers, but we found that the negatives did not outweigh the positives for the consumers that we placed the devices with. This was a very small project. We have a great number of people that we serve. This project only served about 20 individuals, but as a pilot project, it was meant and designed to see if there was going to be some additional resources we could possibly apply to this in the future that's going to help our consumers, and if there was a need and a desire to have this from our consumers. And I think we answered that pretty definitively that yes, this is something that a lot of our consumers had a lot of interest in. The ability to have simple voice commands that puts a wealth of information in an easily accessible format. So what's the future of this project? First project we just did, again, as a small group. Prior to COVID, we were planning a much larger, more robust rollout of the devices for our consumers. We wanted to start working on creating more sophisticated tasks, routines, and start looking at how add-on products may work with smart speakers. Add-on products can be things like smart plugs. For an example, you may have a plug that you can have a simple voice command for that will turn on and off lights or other devices. This also could include using other smart devices to integrate with the smart speaker, home climate control, security systems. Those are much more complicated tasks, but it's things that we at least want to have a better understanding of how they work to see if there's any possibility that's something we can work with our consumers in the future. But like all technologies, the needs of the technology and the user needs of the technology does change constantly. And COVID provided an opportunity to really reinforce that. So much so that the next speaker, Margaret Gaffney, is going to talk about how she leverages a smart speaker to access pertinent information that she's looking for as it directly relates to COVID. So Margaret, why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with smart speakers and accessing information for COVID?
Okay, thank you, Alexander. Am I being heard?
Loud and clear.
Okay. During the past few months, one of the most discussed topics on TV, radio, and home has been COVID-19. Because a lot of this material presented, especially on TV, has been inaccessible to me, I turned to my smart devices, such as the lovely A-Lady. I can hear COVID data in Massachusetts and even down to my county. For example, I can ask Echo, how many cases of COVID-19 in Massachusetts today?
According to Reuters, as of July 9th, 2020, there have been 110,897 cases confirmed of the novel coronavirus in Massachusetts. Additionally, there have been 8,268 deaths confirmed due to the novel coronavirus in Massachusetts.
I can also bring it down to my county. Echo, how many cases of COVID-19 in Bristol County today?
According to Reuters, as of July 10th, 2020, there have been 8,399 cases confirmed of the novel coronavirus in Bristol County, Massachusetts. Additionally, there have been 594 deaths confirmed due to the novel coronavirus in Bristol County, Massachusetts.
I can also ask her about symptoms by saying, Echo, what are the symptoms of COVID?
According to the CDC, symptoms of COVID-19 include fever, cough, shortness of breath, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, and new loss of taste or smell. These symptoms typically appear within 2 to 14 days of exposure. I can help you determine your risk for coronavirus. Just say, what is my risk of getting the coronavirus?
As she's explained, I can also get more specific information by asking, Echo, what is my risk of getting COVID-19?
If you're concerned about COVID-19, I can ask you a few questions based on CDC guidelines to help you understand your risk and make a decision about seeking medical care. Do you have a few minutes for this?
Yes.
Before we get started, if you have a medical emergency, call 911 now. This is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical attention and shouldn't be used for children under 2 years old. Do you want to continue?
Yes.
First of all, do you feel sick?
No.
Do you live with someone who has or is believed to have COVID-19?
No.
In the last 14 days, have you had close contact within about 6 feet with someone who has or is believed to have COVID-19?
No.
And finally, in the last 14 days, have you traveled internationally or been to an area with a high rate of COVID-19 spread?
No.
Since you don't feel sick and had no clear exposure to COVID-19, CDC guidelines indicate it's less likely that you have the virus. And remember, if you have to be out in public areas where it's difficult to maintain 6 feet of distance from others, the CDC recommends wearing a cloth face covering. I can also share a few tips on how to prevent the spread of the virus. Would you like to hear them?
No.
Okay, stay safe.
For those that have an iPhone, Siri can be asked these same questions and respond with similar results. When you ask Google how many cases of COVID in Massachusetts, Google will respond with showing a very detailed website from which you can choose data or graphics. When you ask Google about the symptoms of COVID, a screen is shown with a bulleted list showing symptoms and also a button that you can click to take a self-assessment. Bixby is not recommended because when tried, she brought back out-of-date information. There is also a COVID-19 app on the App Store, in the App Store for the iPhone and iPad. This app is very accessible with VoiceOver, and it works, it provides screening tools and links to the Massachusetts.gov COVID website. It uses your location to determine your state and link to your state website. All of these smart tools that I have used can also be used by any of our consumers and their families. So I hope today that this presentation has helped you understand and learn and work a little more with COVID. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Bill Hirsch.
Thank you, Margaret, and welcome everybody. I decided to present this topic to clarify what a functional low vision evaluation is, and to help you better prepare for the evaluation and to understand what to expect. So the functional low vision evaluations that I do, these are not clinical eye exams, nor are they clinical low vision exams. The purpose of the functional low vision exams that I do is to discover if there are low vision devices, techniques, or strategies that may help enhance your ability to use your remaining vision to achieve your goals in settings where you use your vision. For example, your home, school, on a job site. Examples of some goals might be reading labels, mail, seeing the whiteboard at school, reading a menu in a restaurant, or using a computer, a tablet, or your phone. The functional low vision exam is a low vision service, so not every consumer will benefit from it. The remote evaluation is not a replacement for a face-to-face evaluation. The goal is to learn enough about how you use your remaining vision to be able to recommend low vision devices and strategies that will improve your efficiency and make it possible for you to achieve your goals. Sometimes that path is very clear, and from the data that I get and the experience that I have, I'm able to find tools and strategies that work for you, and no follow-up will be needed. Other times, it's not so clear. And in those instances, I'll try to get you a tool that will hold you over until we can schedule those face-to-face meetings. The way I do remote evaluations, I use teleconferencing software. Typically, that's going to be Zoom. I'll review any reports that are available to me that I have access to through our internal system. I'll take an oral history from you, and then I will go into the evaluation, screen sharing some charts, distance and near acuity charts, Amsler grid for central field, contrast sensitivity, color wheel, and a reading chart. It's also helpful for there to be a helper available, and that helper could be a family member or a close friend. After we complete the evaluation, I review the results and then present those results in a report to your case manager. What you should have available is a reasonably fast Wi-Fi connection, a computer with a microphone and a camera. It could be a tablet. In fact, I've done evaluations with phones, but it's much less than optimal and can lead to an incomplete evaluation. And if you don't have the technology or the experience with the technology, sometimes a family member or a friend can help out. The helper that will be there performs the role that I would perform if I were there face-to-face, doing things like confrontation testing of peripheral field, measuring reading distances and target sizes. Also, you should have any devices that you currently use, a tape measure, and preferably be in an indoor environment and at a table. What you can expect is the following. I'll be looking at two different monitors. So I have a large monitor in my home office where I'll be taking my notes. And to the side of that, I have a laptop where I'll be Zooming or teleconferencing with you. So it'll be very often the case that I'll be looking at a monitor and not at you. I'll be asking questions. I'll pause at times to take notes. On average, the evaluation will take about 1.5 hours. Communication is synchronous. It means that we can talk at the same time. So please wait for me to finish talking before responding to questions, and be sure to take a pause when you complete a thought so I have a chance to ask you questions. When the evaluation is complete, like I said, I'll report back to your case manager. And if tools are recommended either for trial purposes or for permanent use, we contact you to determine if we can deliver them to you in a contactless way. The types of devices that might be evaluated for would be optical magnifiers. Those are handheld lighted magnifiers, portable video magnifiers, the smaller ones, desktop video magnifiers, magnification software, settings for native software, so that it would be software that comes with your system, and the effectiveness of tools that you're currently using. What we might be able to provide you would be portable video magnifiers, digital video magnifiers, handheld LED magnifiers, and software. If you're scheduled for a functional low vision evaluation and you'd like to have a copy of these guidelines, let your case manager know, and I will email a copy to you. And with that, I think we'll go over to Brendan.
Thank you, Bill. Let me just switch over here. Hi, I'm Brendan Finn, MCB Technology in Region 2, which is located in central Massachusetts. I'm planning on speaking for about 5 minutes on my experiences using remote login tools during the pandemic. Remote computer access is critical to ensure continuity of services to our MCB clients who require this. With remote login over the last 5 months, some of the tasks that we've continued to be able to accomplish remotely is assessment of clients' needs, as Bill spoke of, selecting the proper hardware and software tools, installation and download of Microsoft Office and other email setups, for example, job task evaluations, facilitating remote connections for people who are working from home or attending school online, new computer setups, iPhone and iPad setups, and follow-up assistance for those who may already have these devices. I'm still doing a lot of Alexa setups and tweaks for additional skills that the client may request. Router and printer and embosser setups, installing antivirus, installing and upgrading assistive technology software, and most importantly, conducting training. Communication is the key here. Things are a little bit more difficult, but I haven't come across anything that we can't do yet. The 3 tools that I'm using are JAWS Tandem, TeamViewer, and Quick Assist. TeamViewer and Quick Assist being my 2 favorite. JAWS Tandem comes with JAWS. There are 2 versions included in JAWS, Tandem Direct and Tandem Center. Tandem Direct is when both computers are on the same network typically within a LAN on an enterprise. Team Center is used for computer-to-computer access across the internet, and that's what we're talking about. It's audio, but video can be enabled for sighted users or sighted helpers. The controlling computer, the helping computer, must be at the same version or newer compared to the target version of JAWS. The controlling computer will generate a key and then pass that key to the JAWS user requiring the help. Let's see here. If you're working from remotely from home, we can help. Please contact us. We've logged in successfully to clients' computers working at home, upgraded those computers to JAWS Pro with a terminal service Citrix license at a $200 upgrade from JAWS. And then from there logged in remotely a double hop into their work computer, which is also running JAWS now with the terminal server license and remote desktop. So please contact us if you have any needs around that. The other platform, one that I really like, is TeamViewer. I have had some problems with it, but it is definitely one of the more stable platforms. It has versatile tools. Unfortunately, they're mostly paid tools for remote connection, remote management, remote monitoring tools for IoT, and iOS to computer. You can control your computer from your iPhone or iPad, but those are paid subscriptions, and that's through Pilot and Quick Assist. They do have about a 2-minute demo that sometimes we can use very quickly. They're multi-platform, which I like, Windows, iOS, OS X, Linux, IoT. And fortunately, they do offer a free non-commercial download for friends and family trying to help one another. The application has to be downloaded and installed, configured and installed. So depending on the client's vision and what assistive technology they already have on their computer, that can be a daunting task, even if I send an automatic download to their email or direct them through the website. So for that reason, I connect first with Quick Assist, and then once I'm in, I install TeamViewer for our clients and continue. We're able to share files back and forth. For example, if you need talking typer or Zoom text, I can transfer that directly from my computer to your computer, or sometimes TVI reports that you may have on your computer, or school reports, eye doctor reports you may want me to see. We can transfer those back and forth as well using TeamViewer. It also, I can hear your computer not only through the phone, through our connection, but also through the computer. Microsoft Quick Assist, that's new to Windows 10. You may not know that it exists. It allows you to control another person's computer or receive help. All you need for this is a Microsoft account to initiate the connection and generate a key. To access it quickly, press the Windows key once, type Quick Assist, a new window will pop up, and what I really like about this is, especially for new users, the focus for where you're going to type that key is already set to the field that requires it. So there's no fumbling around trying to find the right edit box or the right window even. One drawback is there's no sound. So for that, we turn up the speakers a little bit and we use the client's phone and my phone, and I can usually hear JAWS or Zoom text. Let's see. Safety, just one final thing that I'd like to mention about safety on all this. Unlike JAWS and TeamViewer, which are deliberately and explicitly installed on your computer, you know that it's there. Microsoft Quick Assist is part of the operating system and it's installed by default. It can present a security risk in the enterprise as well as an individual's computer if you're not aware of it. Social engineering is a huge threat and has been since the early days of dial-up. People calling up claiming to be an IT rep or trying to gain information about your network. So it can happen to everybody. In fact, last week I received a call from someone claiming to be Microsoft, and that my computer was going to stop working by the end of the day if I didn't call them back at the number that they claimed to be a Microsoft number. Obviously, we didn't, but it just goes to show that it's only a matter of time before these scammers learn to exploit these remote tools, these login tools. So please never allow anybody unknown or unsolicited into your computer or talk you into running any of these tools. But if I call or somebody from MCB calls, I'm okay, you're okay, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. So please let us in. Thank you for listening. If you have any need for AT services, please contact your social worker in the region that you're from for a referral. We'd be happy to help. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jim Verrill in Region 3. Jim, it's all yours, buddy.
Hey, okay. Thank you, Brendan. And good morning, everybody. And a special thank you to the assistant director, the commissioner, and my coworkers, and everybody out there for allowing me to participate today. This is a very exciting town hall for me. So as was mentioned a little bit, I've chosen to discuss ergonomics today. Ergonomics is an issue and a factor that plays into just about every part of all of our lives on some level. As an adaptive technology specialist, we do quite a few things and we rely on quite a few tools, some technical and some a little less technical in nature. But ergonomics, because it affects and impacts all of us, I think is a very important and timely topic given the state of our world right now. So ergonomics is primarily about the way to go about your work in as efficient a manner as possible. And sometimes there are specific standards that are set already within an industry. An example of that would be like in a government setting or in a medical environment. Sometimes there are very specific standards for ergonomics. And so it's more about protocols and policies. For me, it is more of an evaluation for a specific situation, an individual on a case-by-case basis. And it's about trying to fit a job or a task to the person and not the other way around. A lot of us do everything we can to modify ourselves to try to make ourselves comfortable when we work with a computer. Maybe we get a little closer to the screen. Maybe we turn the volume up a little bit. So we tend to kind of put the cart in front of the horse by trying to adapt ourselves to the technology. In reality, it should be the other way around. And ergonomics is important because it evaluates a number of factors and variables. Typically in a structured environment, such as a workplace, like many of us work in, these variables have been considered already. They're carefully evaluated and they're factored into the workspace. And, these things can include a lot of very detailed analyses. For me, when I do an evaluation for a consumer in a workspace, I typically look at things like the height of the desk and the type of chair they use, any particular supports they might have, the distance to and from the screen and the mouse, how they sit, the positioning that they're in, the lighting inside and outside, sound. There are a lot of variables that aren't always technical in nature that have a huge impact on us. So for me, the real core of ergonomics is about comfort. We're a population of folks that are very used to adaptation. We're very good at it. We approach it very strategically. And so ergonomics is something that we should all look at really carefully at this time because we're all in a very challenging situation of having to work in modified or alternative workspaces that it's just as important for us to consider ergonomics in. So, for example, we evaluate our hardware, our software. But you kind of have to take this into your own hands during this time, this challenging time, and be your own best advocate for evaluating your workspace and take some things into mind. And you're always welcome to reach out for feedback and commentary on any level from us to help you with that. But because ergonomics is about comfort and accommodating your specific needs, you really should take some time to evaluate your modified workspaces right now. It's important to do this because maximizing our efficiency and productivity is important, but being comfortable doing it and being able to do it with a longevity that helps us avoid things like eye fatigue and headaches, dizziness, vertigo, is very important to our visual health. So we need to be vigilant about this. So I encourage you to evaluate the spaces that you're working in. If you find yourself getting closer to the screen, consider that, because what can begin as a little bit of neck pain can eventually become a lifetime of back pain. If your lighting isn't appropriate, that can lead to a number of issues that can really impact and affect your ability to work with any longevity and remain comfortable. So I encourage everyone to evaluate the spaces they're in and consider the importance of ergonomics and the impact that ergonomics has on your productivity, your efficiency, and your comfort. Thank you for your time today, and I'm going to send it back over to Alexander Pooler, our Director of Assistive Technology.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim, and thank you very much to the entire Assistive Technology team for the great work you do day in and day out. In addition to our staff members, we enjoy a great amount of support from our management that empowers us to continue to meet the needs of our consumers during COVID. Commissioner D'Arcangelo, Deputy Commissioner Oliveira, along with Unit Manager Susan Lavin, have been great in helping our unit navigate our new COVID environment. Not everyone from our team was able to present today, but I want to acknowledge the invaluable work and the contributions that they make. Mary Chuck, Alan Calderon, Joseph Trudeau, and Frank Ventura. Thank you very much, everyone, for all you do to support our mission to help our consumers with their assistive technology needs. And now I'm going to hand this back over to Commissioner David D'Arcangelo. David?
All right, Alexander, I believe he's here. But Commissioner, we can't hear you.
Yes, good morning. I'm back. Great job, Alexander. Great job, Assistive Technology team. Let's hear it for them. Some really great segments there that had my interest. So I enjoyed that. And I hope all of the consumers with us on Zoom right now enjoyed it as well. So you have great resources here at MCB. Take advantage of them. They're ready to work for you. They've been doing such a great job during these unprecedented challenges that we've been going through. So again, I'm personally thankful for them. The rest of our team, of course, Carla for pulling this together, our Director of Communications, our Director of Training, Samantha, and Camilla for helping facilitate and provide assistive technology and interpreters and making sure that we have as much accessibility in this platform as possible. So I know we want to open it up for any questions and comments. We're there to serve you. So Carla, are there any questions to begin?
There are quite a few questions, and that is one of the reasons why we picked this topic, assistive technology. I think, you know, there are always a host of questions that our team responds to and tries to respond to for all of our consumers. So if you do have any questions, keep them coming in the chat. You can find my colleague Samantha using her name questions. And then you can also send us an email, mcbinfo@mass.gov. So let's get started with a few of those. We have some time. Alexander and team, the first question is about the smart speaker devices. And it is, does it have to be an Echo device? What about Google Home?
So it does not have to be an Alexa device, an Amazon device. When we did the initial evaluation of the devices, we found that the Amazon Echoes best serve the needs of our consumers. We have done some work with the Google Home, and if that's a device that we want to have a discussion about, I think we can do that. We may not be as knowledgeable as we are about the Amazon Echo device, but really both devices can offer a great ability to make information much more available and accessible to you. So it's something that we can do, and we have had other consumers in the past that have gotten the Google Home device. The only device that we really don't do very much with, and you have to forgive me, I don't really remember off the top of my head the specific name for it. There is a similar device that's from Apple. That device we found to be have a number of issues that we didn't really quite care for, and that's probably the one device that we know the least amount. So if we're going to have a conversation about smart speaker technology, most of it's going to be geared towards the Amazon Echo, but we can have an additional conversation about the Google Home as well.
Right. And there are quite a few questions here regarding JAWS. The first one is, are there any free learning tools or webinars about how to use JAWS and other AT products that you would recommend?
I can take that, Alexander. I can take that,
okay.
Alexander. Yes, there are. The JAWS company, Freedom Scientific under Vispero, has been revamping a lot of their training. And they have, you can go to freedomscientific.com/training, and you'll find a number of very excellent webinars. Also, when JAWS is installed under the menu structure of JAWS, you can go to help, and the first topic under help is training, so that you can hit enter on that training and then arrow down through the various books that are provided. And then if you do not have one of those books installed, JAWS will prompt you to install it. And it goes through very detailed descriptions, and it also provides you with recorded audio by some of the Freedom Scientific staff through a product that they've developed called FS Reader.
I could just like to add one thing to that. If you're having trouble accessing the webinars, reach out to one of us. We can remote in with you and go to the website and help you to access them. They come in multiple formats and they're really quite good.
And also we can help direct you to which ones are the best for you.
All right. Okay, thank you. We do have another question, and must be a couple of family members or friends of our consumers, because the question is, how can I receive remote computer assistance for a family member or a trusted friend?
Alexander, I'll take that if you don't mind.
Okay.
So it really depends on if I understand the question. You want the sighted user wants, or a friend or family wants to help someone. It really depends on what they're using, whether it be JAWS or TeamViewer, if they're running JAWS or ZoomText rather. Regardless, I've had some problems with Tandem. Some people use it successfully. I've had a few bumps in the road. So I gravitate towards Quick Assist. I think if you're just trying to set up an email or download something or fix a problem, then Quick Assist is the easiest way. So on both sides, I'm going to call the controlling computer yours, the target computer is theirs. Both the target and the controlling computer would type in, it will go to the search box, hit the Windows key once, that'll open up the search box, type in the word Quick space Assist. So Quick Assist, actually when you type in Quick, that should be enough. There'll be a box that appears up above for the app Quick Assist already built into your Windows 10 computer. Hit enter. The controlling computer has to take an extra step of saying assist another. When you do that, you'll have to log in with a Microsoft ID. Very easy to create if you don't have one. Go to do a Google search for Microsoft account, create an account. You can use your Gmail or Verizon or any other email and link it to it. You'll use that as your ID credential to log in, put in your password for your Microsoft account. And at that point, you'll be able to generate a key. It's 6 numbers, no characters. You're going to pass that over the phone to the person that you're trying to help. They've already hit Windows key once, typed in Quick Assist. And what I really like about it is the focus is already set to where they need to be. All they have to do is type in the 6 numbers that you provide to them. At that point, you say continue. There'll be a pop-up, and on the target side, the additional step of allow. They'll have to either click on allow if they're using ZoomText, or tab to it if they're a JAWS user, or narrator. Sometimes I turn on narrator if it helps. And when they get to that, they'll hit space or enter. From that point, it takes a few more seconds. The connection is made. From the time you generate that key, you only have 10 minutes to establish this connection. Otherwise, that key is no longer valid and will time out. But once you're in, you can do whatever you want. If you want to install more tools like TeamViewer so that you can pass files back and forth or hear their computer, you can pretty much do whatever you want once you're allowed in. So I hope that answers your question. And if
Right.
it doesn't, please contact us through MCB, and I'd be glad to get involved and help you directly.
All right, thank you. And then I know that you guys really try to tailor our device recommendations to our individual consumers and your needs. But there are a couple of questions here about different devices. And the first one is, what is the best mobile phone for me? I would like one with buttons. It seems to be a common question.
Hey, Margaret, is that one that maybe you can answer?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was doing the muting, unmuting thing and got confused as to whether I was muted or unmuted. There is now a phone called Blind Shell that I just went through a demo of the other day, and it works very well. It has buttons. It has a simple mode and a more complicated mode, and you can use it to you can have contacts, you can have store your contacts, you can make calls with it. It's not considered a smartphone, but it does have a lot of really good features. I think it might even have like a calendar in it, and that type of simple calendar and that type of thing. So I don't have the website for it, but I can probably get it. I don't know where we would put it after the meeting.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Margaret. We can definitely put in some answers to some of these questions in our follow-up from the meeting in our email.
So I will I'll give the contact website for it. And to you, Carla.
That sounds
that's
great.
whatever that is. It's not me. So that other noise.
That's okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And then the next question, we're going to try to wrap up pretty quickly here, but the next question is, what is the best way to receive AT services in my region? Alexander or Brendan, do you guys want to tell folks how to get in touch with you in those specific areas?
Yeah, I can answer that question there. So the best way for you to get AT services is to talk to your case manager. We do have a protocol we have to follow here at the agency, and typically when it comes to starting the process of getting AT services out to an individual consumer, the first start of that is getting a referral from the case manager. So we always recommend you talk to your case manager first, have a conversation with them, and the case manager will then send over the referral to us, and we'll start the process with that. It doesn't mean, however, that you can't contact us directly if you have some general questions. Sometimes we have questions from consumers that they want to know if there is an appropriate technology or service out there for them that would help them out. And we can definitely have that conversation with you. But I can't stress this enough. The best way and the quickest, most efficient way to get started, to get your services from the Assistive Technology Department here at MCB is have that conversation with your case manager and have your case manager send the referral over to the Assistive Technology Department.
Right.
One quick comment,
Thank you
Alexander.
so much.
One quick comment,
go ahead,
Alexander, on
Margaret.
that was, for folks that usually contact me and we discuss a piece of technology that may be of benefit to them, the first thing that I tell them is that the next step that you need to take to follow this procedure, to have this technology in your hands, is to contact your case manager. And if you don't have one, then we'll go back to the regional director, and they will work with setting up opening your case and making sure that you have all the services that you need.
All right. All right. So I think we are wrapping up here. We want to thank everybody for joining today. Did want to share with you before we go just a couple of other ways to connect with us and to reach out to us. Again, you can reach out via your counselor, but also using 1-800-392-0000. 6450. That is our 1-800 number, and you are able to connect to all of our staff and all of our offices using that direct line. You can also email us, like several of you did with your questions, and that's to mcbinfo@mass.gov. That's mcbinfo@mass.gov. And you can also visit our website. That's www.mass.gov/MCB. In the contact section there, you can sign up and opt in for emails from us. So we will be sending out an email with the audio from this town hall, also with the transcript, the presentation, and the Word presentation for everyone that was able to join us and for everyone that has opted in to receive emails. You can also follow us on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram @MassBlind. We're on Facebook @MassComBlind. And then we're also on LinkedIn and YouTube, Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. So we really want to thank all of you for connecting with us, for taking the time to tune in today to find out more about assistive technology. Our assistive technology team has been so critical to our continuity of remote service during COVID-19, and we are very thankful for them and for all of you during this time. They have been a lifeline for our consumers and their families. So thank you all. We hope you found value in this town hall, and we will be announcing another town hall very soon. So please, again, connect with us and follow along to find out when that will be and what the topic will be. If you have any ideas, send us an email at mcbinfo@mass.gov. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
No one answered my question.